welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I have one last Christmas in July to share with you. This is a compilation of some of my favorites from last year for your inspiration. So if you want to know how to make them, stick around. I'll show you how. Thank y'all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Right, Maxwell? Okay, for this first one, I'm going to start with a 15-inch round piece of wood that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to paint it with the cottage white chalk paint. And I'm painting up and down with the grain. I'm not going to go across, so make sure that you do go with the grain of your wood. And this did take several coats to get this completely covered. Okay, and to keep from having brush marks, I'm just spritzing it with some water and then just going back over it. This kind of makes it smooth out. It keeps it from having any kind of brush marks on it. Okay, and I'm going to paint the sides, and I'm going to go ahead and paint the back as well because I do want this to be a finished out piece. Okay, next I'm coming in with some Parisian gray and a chip brush, and I'm just going to kind of distress it a little bit. And then I'm going to spritz it with some water as well, and then just kind of smooth out my lines there. It just softens it up a little bit. Okay, next I got these Roman numerals on Amazon, and I'll give you the link for those below. But if you have a Cricut, you can just cut these out with your Cricut and put these on. These are like 3D little numbers. They really do look nice. It took me a while to get my Roman numerals on my board, but after you get them put on your board, then we're going to just go ahead and start gluing them on. And then I'm just using E6000 glue to attach each one of those letters to the board. And then you want to go ahead and remove any of the excess glue around it as you're doing this. If you let it get a little bit tacky, you can use a toothpick and you can pull it up pretty easily. And then I'm just using a pencil there to kind of mark my spots so I can keep up with where I'm putting my letters. Okay, next I'm going to take that same paint and I'm just going to distress the letters with that same cottage white paint. This just kind of softens it up and gives it a little bit more a vintage look to it. But I did put quite a bit of paint on these. Okay, next I got this wreath at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to attach it with a ribbon right down the center. And I'm just going to use some ribbon, and I'm just going to go right up over the top of the numbers, and I'm going to staple it to the back. Just make sure that you do get it centered really well, and then I'm going to take a 3D glue dot to attach it to the back part of the wreath just to hold it in place. And that was pretty much it. Pretty easy. Really love the way this one turned out. This is something that you could actually leave up year round. Let me know what you think in the comments. This one, I'm going to take 2 of the acrylic deer from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to spray paint them with Rust-Oleum Oil Rub Bronze Paint. Okay, next I'm going to take some Modern Masters Brass Metallic Paint, and I'm just going to take a sponge, and I'm just going to sponge it on these. I'm just trying to make it look a little bit like metal. So you want to make sure that you still show some of the bronze through there, but just kind of sponge it on there. And you could use the Rub and Buff as well that they have at Hobby Lobby. Anything that's metallic you could use. Okay, next I'm just coming in with some boxwood garland that I got on Amazon. I'll give you the link for this, and I'm just putting a wreath right around each one of their necks. And I did 2. I thought the cluster of 2 looked good together. This was a pretty easy project, but I thought that they turned out really nice. I think this looks like something that you could find at Pottery Barn, actually, or even Restoration Hardware. I think those turned out super cute. Let me know what you think in the comments. You could actually remove the wreath after Christmas and leave them up year round. So I'm just taking a mug that I got at Dollar Tree, and I'm going to spray paint it with some Rust-Oleum Farmhouse White Paint. Okay, next you're going to take some floral foam, and you're going to start putting it into the mug, and you're going to start building it up. Now you're going to have levels, so you want your back to be taller than your front. And I actually started adding my greenery and figured out I needed to come in a little bit higher. So you want the back to be probably about at least 2 inches above the mug, and you want the front to probably be about an inch above the mug. So I'm going to start adding my greenery, and then I put my little house in. Then I figured out I needed to go a little bit taller. I'm just going to put some greenery around the back and around the sides just to kind of hold everything up. And then that's where I put my house on there. But I did go back and change it up a little bit and add a little bit more. And you can get these little houses just about anywhere. And I think I got those houses at Hobby Lobby. And this greenery I bought on Amazon. You get quite a big bag full for the money. And it goes a long way. I've used this in a lot of projects, and it does go a long way. And then right here is where I figured out I started needing to add a little bit more foam to build it up a little bit higher. And you can kind of see how high I'm going now. I'm adding probably another at least inch to the back and another inch to the front. You just want to kind of fill it in so you can get some height. That way you'll have a little bit more depth in this. And then just start adding things to it so that you can kind of fill in where you don't see any of the foam. And add different textures, you know, adding a lot of different textures and a lot of different colors of the greenery really made it look good. Just kind of play with it. Adding little trees is great because it makes it look more like it is a house. And then I added some eucalyptus. I'll give you the link for all the greenery that I use. I got most of it on Amazon. But you can get a lot of that at Hobby Lobby as well. Just start filling it in, and, you know, putting some color in there is great too. And you could do these so many different ways. You could put little Christmas ornaments in it. You could put pine cones in it. I put a couple little sticks in the back. Just kind of giving it a winter scene. Okay, this one was pretty simple, but it did turn out really nice. I really love the way that it looks. Let me know what you think in the comments. This would be a great gift for somebody as well. I'm just going to take these Dollar Tree angel wings, and I'm going to pull all the fur off of them. And they popped off pretty easy. Okay, next I'm going to spray paint them with some Rust-Oleum Farmhouse White paint. Okay, then I'm taking a piece of wood that measures 5.5 by 24, and I'm going to stain it with some dark walnut stain. And I'm going to do the sides and the back also on this. And I'm just using a regular cloth, cotton cloth, like a t-shirt. It goes on pretty smooth, and you can smooth it out pretty nicely. So I'm going to take some 2-inch wooden rings. I'm just going to flatten out one side of them. That way I can mount it to my board, and it sets flush, and we're making halos. And then we're going to spray paint these with the exact same paint we did with the wings, which was the Farmhouse White paint. So I just kind of evenly spaced out my wings, and I'm going to attach these with some E6000 glue. Just kind of along on one of the edges where it actually touches the piece of wood. And then I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue on it as well. And then do all 3 of those wings the same exact way. Okay, next I'm just going to attach the little halo just above the wings. And I actually should have gone a little bit farther up because I am adding some fur, and you'll see it here in a little bit. And I'm just attaching these with hot glue. Okay, next I'm just going to attach some white trim to this, and I got this on Amazon. I'll give you the link for it, and we're just going to go right across the top part of all the wings. And then there's a piece of fabric in the center of it, and I'm going to cut that out. That fabric right there, you see, you're going to cut it all the way down, right down to where the fur is, and then we're going to just kind of pull that out. And that'll open up that fur so that we can glue it together so it's just a solid piece.
And you could use a furry yarn or anything you want to with this. But I'm just going to open it up and I'm going to run a bead of glue down the center of it just to hold it all together. Just going to start at the corner and then just go all the way across the top and then make that V shape in there as well. Don't just go straight across, come down and make the V as well. And we're going to do this for all three of those wings. Okay, next I'm going to take some garland and a little bell, and I'm just going to make a little wreath shape out of it. And I got these on Amazon also. I'll give you the link for these. These bells actually were pretty cute. You could use those in a lot of different projects. And then I'm just going to glue this under the first set of wings right to my board. I'll make another little wreath, just a small one, to put right underneath the second set of wings. I really love the way that these turned out. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you have a Cricut, you could actually put the word angel wings on it. For this next one, we're going to make some little rustic barns, and I'm using corrugated paper that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'll give you the link for that. I'm going ahead and giving you 4 different patterns for the different houses, but you want to go ahead and make sure that your lines are going straight up and down on the body of the house, and then on the roof will go the opposite way. So just go ahead and cut out your patterns. I've given you this in both a PDF and an SVG. You can cut it out with a Cricut or by hand. I cut all mine out by hand. It was pretty quick and easy. And you could use cardboard or anything that you wanted to. I just thought it looked really good with the corrugated paper. And this is just scrapbook paper. And I'm going to cut out one, and then I'm going to flip my paper to the opposite side and cut out the other, because you want to make sure that the corrugated side is on the outside. And this is the one I'm cutting out right now is the one in the pattern that I call the large barn. There's a medium one and a small one, and then there's one that has a tall peak on it as well. And I've given you all those patterns, and you can just download them. That you got them cut out, we're going to go ahead and attach them. You're just going to fold the paper right up next to where the barn is and in the back edge as well. And we're just going to go ahead and overlap these and glue these together. And all three of the large, the medium, the small houses are all going to be put together in this exact same way. And then on the tall peak one, I'll show you how to put that one together as well. And then we're going to go ahead and cut our roof at 8 1/4 by 2 7/8. Now you want to make sure that the long side is the part that's going up and down. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, and then I'm going to cut a couple extra pieces here. And these are just going to be like the tabs that you're going to put onto the house to hold the roof on. I didn't put tabs in my pattern, so you're just going to have to cut tabs out. And I think I've cut them about 1 inch. Just, you can use scrap paper on this. You don't have to even use the corrugated paper. And I'm just going to kind of fold them over, and I'm just going to glue them right inside, and that's what I'm going to attach my roof to. So you're going to have half onto the house, and then half is what the roof is going to attach to. And I put several of them on here. Now you could put it at every single peak if you want to. That's probably not a bad idea, but I just put it on the top part here. And then I'm going to put another piece on the underside here in a little bit to attach the roof to the side of the house. All our bends, I'm just going to come across here, and I'm going to find my center point, and I'm just going to mark it with a pencil. And then go ahead and draw with your ruler a line through it, and it'll make it fold a little bit easier. And then I'm going to find my next bend by measuring from the peak to the next bend, and that's 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark on my cardstock 2 inches right here on both sides. And I'm going to go ahead and do another little line right here. Don't go all the way through your cardboard, but just kind of make it where it does give a little perforation here. And then bend those, and we're going to go ahead and start attaching it. Now the last little bend, I'm going to wait till I have it glued on, and then I will get that one. And you are going to overhang the front just a little bit. Just make sure you get your tabs pushed down there good so that that roof is on good. And then I'm going down to the next bend, and I'm just going to make that flat. And just go up underneath the eave of the barn and just go ahead and glue it to the top. And next, I'm just going to figure out exactly where my next point is. I'm going to go ahead and mark it, and then I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to make a mark on there too, just like I did the other one, to give it a score line. And I think it ended up being like 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to just go ahead and bend that out. And then I'm going to add a little tab to these as well. I'm going to go ahead and glue the top edge. And then I'm going to add my tab in there as well.
And do exactly the same thing for the opposite side.
And I'm going to build my other two exactly the same way. Okay, now the fourth one, this is a different one. It has a little bit different peak on it. It's a little bit taller and it has a little bit more bending on that one. And I'll kind of show you real quickly how I did this one as well. You're going to assemble the body of this one exactly like you did the other one. And then we're going to cut a roof for it. And then I'll show you how you do all the bends on this one. Okay, the roof for this one's going to measure 10 by 3 3/4 inches. I'm finding my center point on this, and I'm just going to go ahead and draw a score line. So I'm going to go ahead and measure 1 inch right there, and I'm going to go ahead and do a score line on each side of 1 inch. So my next score line is going to be 1 3/4 inch, and I'm going to mark that on both sides of this roof as well. Okay, and then that should fit the shape of the roof line. Okay, since this one was so involved with all the bends, I'm going to put a little tab at each bend on these. And I'm also going to put them on the sides as well. Just spend a little bit of time working on this part here because it really does make a difference how the roof does look. And once we get done putting this all together, you'll see how sturdy this little house actually is. It's almost like paper dolls if you did play with paper dolls when you were a child, but that's kind of what these tabs are. And then go ahead and glue your roof onto all those tabs. And you are just going to hang over the front just a little bit. To give them some weight, I'm just going to add some Jenga blocks. I'm going to put 4 of them, 1 on the front, 1 on the back, and 1 on each side. Now you could use any kind of wood you want to. It doesn't have to be Jenga blocks. You could actually just cut some wood, but it does give it a little bit of weight to make it a little bit more stable. Next, I'm going to spray paint them. I'm going to spray 2 of them with the Rust-Oleum Oil Rub Bronze paint, and I'm going to spray 2 of them with the Krylon. It's metallic copper color. Next, I'm just going to take a paint stir stick and I'm going to cut it to go inside of this to give it some stability across the top part. I'm just going to cut it and I'm going to put these on top of the Jenga blocks and glue these in. I'm just using miter shears to cut these because this is a real thin piece of wood. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue them right into the bottom of each one of those. You're going to go up on top of the ledge of the Jenga block. And you just put a little bit of glue on each end of them and just pull them up there on top of those blocks. Okay, for the windows and the doors, I'm going to take these little pieces of wood that I got at Hobby Lobby. They come in a bag of rectangles and a bag of squares, or you could just cut wood yourself. But these were a little bit long, so I am going to use my little table saw to cut these off a little bit. And this little table saw is pretty handy. I'll give you the link for that as well. You just want to be careful with it. And then I'm just going to figure out exactly how I want them laid out. All of them are going to have a square window and rectangular doors, except for the larger barn, it's going to have a rectangle window and a rectangle doors. So I'm just kind of showing you how I'm laying them out right now, because I am going to paint these and then I'll put them back together. To give the barn design for these, I'm going to take some craft foam and I'm just going to cut it into like maybe 1/4 inch strips, and I'm just going to put an X on each one of the doors and each one of the windows. Just glue that on and make X's on them, and then we're going to paint all this in here in a little bit. And then trim off any excess hanging over the back part. And then do the same thing for the other door and the window as well. I'm going to take a craft stick and cut it right across the top part of the window. And then I'm going to take a square dowel stick to go across the top part of the doors. Kind of like it's hanging from those. Copper barns, I'm going to paint those with oil rub bronze on the doors, and then the opposite on the ones that are painted with the oil rub bronze. Okay, now I'm going to just go ahead and start assembling them, and I'm just going to use hot glue to put these together. So go ahead and put your doors up there, make sure that they're evenly spaced, and then just glue one at a time. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and add my stick right across the top part of it, like that's where they're hanging from. And then I'm going to attach my window, and then I'm going to attach my top piece to that as well. And then I'm going to do this to all of my little barns. Just make sure you spend a little bit of time getting it lined up good. I'm taking some gold metallic paint, and I'm just going to take my finger and just brush it onto the ribs of the top of the roof, and also on the main body of the barn as well. And I did that to all of them. Okay, next I'm taking the Art Deco Snow Tex, and I'm just going to rub this on top of the roof as well to kind of give it like it's been brushed with snow. Just kind of randomly. I'm not going to cover it completely. And then I finally figured out it worked a little bit better if you take a chip brush and brushed it on with that. To give them their holiday decor, I'm just taking a couple of wreaths to put on top of these, and I'm just putting it up at the peak of the roof so you can still see the window. And I got these two at Michael's, and then I'm going to make the next two out of some greenery pipe. It's some like pine needle pipe cleaner that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to roll it around my fingers until I get it as full as I want it. And I'm making one for this barn, and I'm going to make one for the larger barn as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue it on. Okay, and then to decorate this one up a little bit more, I'm just going to add a little bit of that pipe cleaner right to the top part of that as well. Just kind of bend the corners down and just glue that on. I'm just going to add a little bell to the center of each one of these little wreaths. And I'll give you the link for those. I got those on Amazon. Okay, I really think these little rustic, vintage-looking barns look super cute. You could use these pretty much year-round if you wanted to. But let me know in the comments what you think. If you decorate rustic or if you decorate farmhouse, I'd love to know what you think. Okay, for this one, I'm going to use some wood that measures 3/8 inches thick by 2.5 across by 24 inches. And I'm going to lay them out 4 of them like this. And then the 5th one, we're going to cut it and go across. We're making some shutters. And before we get going on them, we're going to sand them.
Okay, and to sand them, I've got this tool from Vever. It's a belt sander, and then it has a disc sander on the side. And I'm just going to push my wood up against it to kind of sand it. Now, this is really good if you don't have a lot of hand strength because it pretty much works itself. All you have to do is just guide your wood across it. To attach these, I'm just going to use some wood glue, and I'm just going to run it down one side of each piece of this wood and attach these. Now, you're going to want to clamp these because you do want this to be completely pulled together tightly. And you don't have to use a lot of wood glue, just a little bit goes a long way. And I'm just attaching it with a little popsicle stick. And you do want to take some time to make sure you do get them completely lined up good. And then we're going to clamp them. Just pull it tight enough so that they are stuck together. You don't want to pull it so tight that they bow, but you want to get it pulled tight enough that they do cinch together. And you want to go ahead and clean up any glue that comes up through it. You make sure you get all that glue off of there. After that's dried, we're going to take our other piece of wood and we're just going to come straight across it and mark it at the edge. We're just going to put one at the top and one on the bottom. Just kind of take a pencil, mark it there, and then do the same thing on the opposite side. Then I'm going to go to my sander and I'm going to cut them. Okay, after I cut them, I went ahead and sanded both ends. To attach our two short pieces, we're going to come 2 inches down from both ends. And we're just going to attach these with wood glue as well. And you might want to make a mark on it so you know exactly where it goes when you get ready to glue it. And then we're going to clamp them just like we did the first ones. And if you don't have clamps, you could actually just put a stack of books on top of this. You just want to make sure it's something's heavy enough to hold it flat. And then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing for the opposite end. Just going to come 2 inches in on that end as well, and then we're going to clamp them. But I would highly recommend investing in some clamps. They're not that expensive. Okay, once those have dried, I'm going to go ahead and paint these with a cottage white chalk paint. And this did take a couple of layers of paint to do this. You just make it as white as you want it to, or you can make it, you know, a little bit clear where you can see the wood grain under it. It's totally up to you. But just go along the grain of the wood. Try to make sure that you are going with the grain. I'm going to take a chip brush and that same Parisian gray I used previously and try to get all of that, as much of that off of your brush before you start. And then do your high places first, kind of get those a little bit darker than the rest of it. And then go ahead and start distressing the rest of it. But you want to try to get your brush, most of that paint off of there. You just want a little bit so it does look more natural. And these little chip brushes work great for this. Okay, next I'm just going to add a little bit of hardware to this just to kind of dress it up a little bit. And I'll give you the link for these. I got these on Amazon. And I'm just putting two on each side of the top part and the bottom part. And then I'm going to pre-drill my holes so that I can go ahead and put my screw in there. You want to go ahead and pre-drill your holes because it'll make it a lot easier for you if you do that. Okay, then go ahead and attach your screws, and you're going to put them on the top part and then put them on the side too. Now, they're going to be a little bit harder on the side, but you're going to have to pre-drill your holes, but you can get them set pretty flat. And I just got this wreath at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just taking this ribbon, and I'm just going to attach this with this ribbon to this shutter. And I did 2 of these because I wanted them to be side by side on my mantle. Just kind of make sure that you do get your wreath pretty centered in the center, and then we're going to use some tacks to actually attach it to the board. And we're just going to kind of fold the ribbon back so you can't see it, maybe like 2 times back. And then we're going to attach it with some just tacks. And we're going to put 1 tack on each side. And these are called cut tacks. I got these at Lowe's. Just kind of push it in there, get it started, and then just hammer it in. And then get your finger out of the way, otherwise you will hit it like I just did right there. I really love the way that these turned out. This is another one that you could actually leave up year round. You could change out the wreath each season. I'm taking this sled that I got at the Dollar Tree, and then I'm taking a wooden sled I got at Dollar Tree too, and I'm going to attach the two together with some E6000 glue and a little bit of hot glue to hold in place until that dries. And I'm putting quite a bit of glue on there. And I'm just kind of centering it on the bottom so that it overhangs in the front just a little bit. Taking some Rust-Oleum Oil Rub Bronze Paint. I'm going to paint 2 of the acrylic deer from Dollar Tree and the sled, both top and bottom. Okay, next I'm going to take some faux fur that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to wrap around the top part edge of this sled. Now I'm just kind of measuring around to get my marking on there, and then I'm just going to cut this into 2-inch strips. Now this is a 4-inch piece of faux fur ribbon. Now you could just get regular faux fur by the yard and just, you could probably just do it with maybe 1/4 of a yard. And you're going to cut behind that backing only all the way down until you have enough to do both sides. And we're going to do this in 2 pieces to save some ribbon. We're just going to overlap the 2 pieces right in the center, and this will be our center point on our sled. Just make sure that you get it pretty smoothed out and that the fur is overlapping well, and then go ahead and glue a little bit along the edge to make it flush. And then we're just going to start right in the very center, and we're going to come up about 1/2 inch above the sled and glue that down. We want enough to go ahead and bend over the top part to glue it over. Okay, and then we're just going to keep going all the way around until you have it all the way to the back. Now, we're not going to wrap over the top yet on this piece. We're just going to get the sides down good, and then we're going to go back in and cut a few slits to make it easy to go over the top edge. But just spend a little bit of time getting this glued in well, and then we'll come back in and do the top part. And then I'm going to kind of speed this up so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing, but it'll be a little bit faster. Just make sure that you are leaving 1/2 inch over the top so it can wrap over the top. Just keep going around until you get to the back, and then we're going to trim it in the middle. Okay, then we're going to just trim it off right here and finish gluing in that edge. And then we're going to start on the opposite side before we glue the back in. Just go ahead and cut some slits right in here. This will help it to go over the top edge. And then you can just glue that in. You'll have to cut the slits though, otherwise you won't be able to get it to go over the edge. And then just finish gluing until you get everything done. Okay, on the opposite side, I started out a little bit different. I went ahead and put a bunch of slits in it all the way down so that I wouldn't have to go through and do this later. Just do like maybe every 1/2 inch or 1 inch all the way down, and then it'll work a little bit easier getting it over the edge. Okay, and then just keep going till you get all the way to the back. Okay, once you get to the back, we're just going to trim that off, and we're just going to overlap these. Next, to fluff it up, I'm just going to use a lint brush, and I'm just going to kind of lightly go over the whole thing. This will kind of fluff it up, not so uniform looking, and make it look a little bit more furry. Next, I'm taking a 1-inch wide strip of the same faux fur. I'm just going to roll the top edge over. That's what's going to be up closer to the top part of his neck. And that way you won't see the edge of that fur on when you're looking down at it. You're just kind of rolling the edge over just a little bit.
Okay, then just go ahead and wrap it around your deer's neck, and then you're probably going to have to trim it off. These were just some extra pieces that I had. And then we're just going to glue it right to the back of his neck and then wrap it around and glue it to the other side. Just overlap it. And then do exactly the same thing for your other deer if you're going to put 2 deer in your scene. Okay, just dressed them up a little bit, made them match. Next, I'm just cutting a pool noodle to put down in the bottom of my sled, and I'm going to use this to attach my greenery. Just fit it in there and then go ahead and glue it in. And I'm using some greenery that I got on Amazon. I'll give you the link for it as well as the pine cones, but you could use anything that you want. You just want to go ahead and get it full enough to where you don't see any of the pool noodle underneath it. But I'm going to get mine pretty full in the back, and then I'm going to put some pine cones towards the front. And then I'm putting some other little greenery that I had from a little garland right into the very front. Okay, I think this turned out really pretty. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Very rustic cabin looking. Let me know in the comments which one's your favorite today. For this first one, I'm going to use some 3-inch wooden circles and some 2-inch wooden circles. I'll give you the link for those below. I'm using a 3/4 inch dowel stick and a 1-inch dowel stick. Now my 3/4 inch dowel stick measured 9.5, and I'm just going to cut it into 3 equal pieces. Okay, I am making some wooden spools with these, and I'm taking 3 of the 2-inch circles and I'm just gluing them together with some regular wood glue. And then I'm going to clamp them with some clamps that I got at Dollar Tree. Just kind of make sure that when you get them put together, they are pretty even. You don't want them sliding, so make sure you do clamp them. Make another one exactly like that for the bottom. And I'm going to make 3 little spools and 1 larger spool. And on the larger spool, I'm doing the same thing, but I'm going to use 4 of the big round 3-inch rounds, and I'm going to glue those together. And then I'm going to make another one exactly like it for the bottom. The larger spool, I'm going to cut it at 4.5 inches, and that's with the 1-inch dowel stick. And then I'm going to take them outside and cut both of them. Next, to get the spool look, I'm just going to take a drill bit and I'm going to drill a hole right down into the center of it. And you can make it however big or however small you want to. Now, I didn't need to do this step the way I decorated mine. If you're going to decorate yours with the Christmas tree on top, skip this step because it's going to cover up that hole anyway. But if you aren't going to decorate it, go ahead and drill a hole through it so it does look like a spool. And do that to all of them. To attach the dowels, I'm just going to use some wood glue on these as well. I'm just going to put a bunch of it on the bottom and a bunch on the top. Now, make sure that you clean any excess off that you get around it, because you'll see when I stain mine, anywhere you get wood glue, if you don't get it off of there, the stain will not stain it. But go ahead and get them even up the top and the bottom, and then go ahead and clamp them. I'm going to stain all my little spools, and I'm just going to use some press and seal to put down on my workstation first, and I'm going to cover it with some paper. That way, when the stain bleeds through, it doesn't mess up your workstation. And you could do this outside, but I did it inside because it was dark outside when I did this. And I'm just taping it down to hold it in place. And then I'm going to stain all of my spools a dark walnut stain. And I'm just going to use a rag and I'm just going to dip it in there and rub it on. Now you'll see where I got some wood glue on some parts of this that I didn't see. And that's the areas where it did not stain. But I was going for a vintage look, so that was okay with me. Cover my spools. I'm just going to use some pillow ticking fabric. I just cut it into 1-inch strips, and I'm just going to start at the very top, and I'm going to glue this in. Now I'm only going to glue just at that one point, and then when I add the next row, I'll glue it on as well. You don't want to be real uniform on this. Just kind of randomly wrap it around there and just get it as thick as you want to. I think I used about 4 36-inch pieces of fabric. But you can get it as full or as thin as you want to. And then on the other ones, I just used a ribbon. And then I'm just going to tie it off with a vintage safety pin that I got. And I'll give you the link for those. And then on the little ones, I'm just going to go ahead and add ribbon on those. And just get some kind of vintage looking ribbon that you can find. I got this one years ago at Stampin' Up. But just use something that looks a little bit more vintage than just regular ribbon. And then I'm going to finish that off with one of those vintage safety pins as well. And since you only glued at the very top, you can just use this ribbon for something later. You didn't mess it up, so you can reuse it. And then these last two, I got that ribbon at Michael's, and I'm just covering those, and I'm going to safety pin those off exactly the same way. And to decorate these, I'm just going to put a Christmas tree on top of each one of these. I'm kind of doing them in random sizes. I got some of these at Dollar Tree and some of these at Hobby Lobby. And I'm just going to glue them on. Okay, this was a quick and easy project, but I really think it turned out really cute. If you like the vintage look, you will like this one. I really love the way that these turned out, you know, a rustic farmhouse look. Let me know in the comments what you think and which one of these is your favorite today. And then let me know also what kind of decor you like at your home. As a recap of some of the things that I made today, I hope this gives you some inspiration for the holidays. Hopefully you can get a head start and get some things done early. If you like these kind of videos, be sure and give me a like, be sure and subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when I have a new video upload. Thank y'all so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. And if nobody's told you today, you're awesome. Have a great weekend.